Today we continue with our class Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. Start with Sefer Shmiras Haloshon. And today's topic: lost opportunities. When one ponders the great poverty, when one ponders his great poverty in Torah study and performance of other mitzvahs, he realizes that he has nothing to be arrogant about. Right? As the sages put it, if you lack knowledge, then you have what you have acquired. Bereshit Rabbi 1:6. So one more time, let's read. Okay. So we said, when one ponders his great poverty in Torah study, performance of the mitzvahs, he realizes he has nothing to be arrogant about. Right? So all this time wasted. People watch news, and some people even send me some clips of the news. Okay, Baruch HaShem, or other things. So I mean, okay. Right. So if a person watches the news, or he does whatever he does with his life, he watches movies, she watches whatever, right? So they do not learn Torah, for sure. They do not know, right? So what be so proud about, right? So arrogant about. As sages said, is put it: if you lack knowledge, then what you have acquired. So if you don't have knowledge, you don't have knowledge about stock market or who is the president today, who is not. The knowledge of the Torah, knowledge of HaShem. So if you don't have knowledge, what do you have? And if one does not have a bit of Torah and mitzvahs to his credit, nevertheless, honest reflection will result in his realization that he has utilized only a fraction of potential with which he has been divinely endowed. So a person, if person is honest with himself, he would see that maybe I have to do more Torah, more mitzvahs, and drop all other things. So the best thing to do is a time management, right? The most important is time management. When if you analyze your day, or ask somebody dependent to analyze your day, so you'll see, like, very simple. You can carve out several hours for the Torah study, very simply, with sleeping exactly the same amount of hours. Just drop the nonsenses. A businessman sent two of his employees, David and Yaakov, to faraway lands to buy precious gems. To David, the businessman gave 1,000 gold coins. To Yaakov, he gave 100. On the way, the two squandered much of their money on a worthless merchandise. By the time they arrived at their destination, David had 200 coins remaining, while Yaakov was left with 40. One day, the two became embroiled in dispute. In his rage, David shouted, "You are but a pauper compared to me, for I possess 5 times the amount of the money that you have." The outsider who has so you understand well what's going on. So they were both sent to this mission by a businessman. One was given 1,000 gold coins, another one is 100. Right? One squandered 800, another only 60. Right? So this the more richer, in double quotes, right? He said, "You're pauper comparing to me." Okay. But he lost much more, of course. An outsider who has been listening to the argument spoke up. "What are you boasting about, you fool? Everyone knows that the money which you have with you is not your own. In fact, you are far poorer than Yaakov. Both of you have squandered away your employer's money. However, you have wasted 800 coins, while Yaakov wasted only 60. What will you do when your employer will demand an accounting for all of the money he gave you? You will find yourself burdened with enormous debt. You will be filled with shame, far more shame than the man whom you are boasting." So he's talking to this richer guy, David, right? So first of all, it's not your money. right? So what are you so proud about? That you're richer? First of all, second of all, you will lost much more money than he. And of course you would have to pay back. So why are you so happy? Okay, there's continuation different page for 12. Okay, so it says continuation. Every soul that descends to this world is the emissary of HaShem, endowed with a mission to perfect his soul in accordance with the divinely endowed abilities. So that's that is a topic that Rabbi Reuben speaks about a lot about, right? About this our missions, our mission. Of course, everybody has his own mission in this world, but everybody have different potentials. So that's why we cannot compare ourselves to other people. But on the other hand, we have to live according to our potentials, right? So in HaShem, and employ these potentials to be a good Jew, not be a good worker, right? Or a good scientist. It is foolish for a person to feel proud that he has been blessed with superior intellect, for his intellect is not his own acquisition. So, like this person, David, right, that was given 1,000 coins, it's not his coins. Okay, he has 1,000 coins, but that's not his. He would have to one day give accounting. What happened to that money? Same with with all the people in the world. When you come back to HaShem, right, and you stand on the judgment, so HaShem is going to ask you, what did you do with the gift that I gave you? With all the talents, right? Rather, it has been granted him by HaShem. So I mean, it's another idea. Sorry, I missed. So that why you so proud? It's not yours. It's not yours, right? But what yours is what you're going to do with that. That is not yours. So that's a free choice. Rather, it has been granted him by HaShem so that he can accomplish his unique purpose in this world. Therefore, one should ponder how he has used the inborn gifts. So everybody, first we have to identify what our inborn gifts are, what our talents are, and then we use them for the glory of HaShem. How he has spent each of his days and how much valuable time he has squandered. It may well be that the man of superior intellect and a talent has used but a small fraction of his inborn abilities. As such, he certainly was nothing to wish to be proud of. So somebody is a sharp person in all of this. In his work, he's number one, right? But in learning Torah, he's number I don't know how much, right? Right? So that's the issue, big issue. So HaShem would say, "I give you all of this gift of intellect, and look how you use it. It's yet like you useless." Okay. Okay, continue. This Kitzur. So we're on Siman 39. We did only one halach, but it was very, very long halach, many pages across. And our topic is the one who wishes to eat or drink before the meal. So as we explained last time, I'm not going to repeat what we said last time, but basically there is a meal, bread meal, and the person wants to eat something before the meal, right? Before the meal. So of course he has to make the blessing before Brocha Rishona, but the question arises if he's going to eat the same food during that meal, can that blessing that he made before he washed the hands be applied to the other items that he would eat during the meal if they're usually not covered? Okay, that was the question. Okay, so now number 2. So we said the proper way not to do it, not to eat before the meal. If you want to eat before the meal, Okay, if you want. So just eat, whatever you eat, make sure that you eat enough to say the blessing after you ate, and you say blessing after you ate, and then do washing of the hands and start the meal. Okay. So, but it's proper not to do it. But in some cases, as you said, it can be food that we ate or drank before the meal can be connected to the food that we eat during the meal. Okay, continue. Sif number 2. Even if close to one meal, even if close to one's meal, one is food that he will not eat during the meal. If the purpose of this food is to stimulate the appetite for the meal itself, according to some authorities, this eating is considered a part of the meal and does not require separate Bracha Achrona. Other authorities maintain that the factor does not connect the appetizer food to the meal with regard to the obligation to recite Bracha Achrona. Okay. So all right. So let's try to understand. So some authorities say that if you're going to eat some appetizer, to whet your appetite, to start your appetite, right? As they say. So that appetizer, so meaning what does it mean to whet your appetite? So now you ate whatever you ate. We're going to see what is it, and now you're more hungry. So it's like open your appetite for later on, maybe after you wash your hands. So as we said, it's proper not to do it, but let's say he wants to do it this way for whatever it is. So the question is, the question is the same. Does he have to say after blessing, after finish with this appetizer, or as this this view that we just said, they see this appetizer connected to the meal, right? And they want to say that Bircas Hamazon should cover whatever he ate before the meal. That's the question. Okay, so let's see. The subject of the Sefer is wine, which can serve to stimulate the appetite, and is therefore included in above dispute among the authorities. Okay, so let's see about wine. One wishes to drink wine before washing his hands for the meal, even if he will not drink wine during the upcoming meal as well. Nevertheless, some authorities say that since the wine serves to open the digestive system and to stimulate the appetite, any drinking of wine before the meal is therefore considered to be part of the meal and is extreme and exempted from his own obligation of Bracha Achrona by reciting Birkas Hamazon at the end of the day. Okay, that's exactly what we said. But okay, I mean, so here it's just to summarize. So Kitzur say, some authorities say, so if you drink wine and before the meal, and you're not going to drink the wine during the meal. So in last year, we divided the foods in two categories, right? So all of the foods we said that he ate before the meal, right? That the situations were that he would eat before the meal, and the same foods he would eat during the meal itself, right? So we said the difference is, does that food is required separate blessing or not? Okay, that was the question. So, but here they say no, different situation. He drinks wine only before the meal, and he is not going to drink it during the meal, right? So that's a little more difficult, right? In a plus, if we said, okay, so he's going to eat meal before some food before the meal, and he's going to eat that food during the meal. Okay, so he does not have to say bracha Rishona for that food that he's going to eat during the meal, and that food that he would eat during the meal is covered automatically by Birkas Hamazon. And since it is covered Birkat Hamazon, so we said we go in opposite direction, and we go and we connect this food that he eats during the meal to the food that he ate before the meal, and according to some authorities, as we said, okay, it is covered. right? So at least logically, you see there is a link. Sounds very, very logical. There is a link here. There is no link. It's like one-way street, right? He's going to drink wine before the meal, and somehow we're going to see how it has to be covered by Birkas Hamazon. And so it has to be included in the meal, even though it started before the meal, and be covered by Birkas Hamazon. That's the argument here. However, some authorities say that even if he will drink wine during the meal, nevertheless, wine that one drinks before the meal is not exempt from the obligation of Bracha Achrona, right? So and blessed by the recitation of Birkas Hamazon. So here, totally opposite opinion. So some authorities say, okay, no, you know what? It's not going to work. So he said they make the case even more logical. As in previous CF, he said they're going to drink wine during before the meal and during the meal, right? And still they say there is no connection. There is no connection. They have to make the blessing after blessing when he finished drinking wine before the meal. Okay. Of course, if he drank a lot in an appropriate amount of time, but that's a different story. Okay. And that wine that he drank before the meal is not exempted from the obligation of Bracha Achrona, recited Birkas Hamazon. So I just want to mention one thing that so we should not be confused with the Kiddush, right? Because Kiddush, Friday night, let's say Shabbos morning, so we make on the wine, and it covers it covers all of the wine that we're going to drink during the meal. And then we say Birkas Hamazon, and this Birkas Hamazon is going to cover all of the wine that we drank before the meal. I mean in the Kiddush wine. So it should not confuse us. Why? Because you're not allowed to start meal without making Kiddush. So that's a direct connection to the meal, right? So in this case, you must drink wine or other beverage, or whatever. Let's say wine. I don't want to overcomplicate. You must drink wine in order to start meal. So, but in this case, in regular, when they have dinner on Thursday, let's say, and they want to drink wine before the meal, there is no connection. I mean, you're not obligated to drink before the meal. You can just start with washing your hands, right? Say Hamotzi and start your meal. Okay, and that's the proper way to do things. Okay, so 19 content. According to this view, I mean this most stringent view, the fact that the food serves as an appetizer does not render halachically part of the meal. Okay. See note 16. Okay, according to Mishnah Brura 176.2, since wine requires bracha Rishona. Okay, so even during the meal, when one drinks during the meal, so even just to remind us, that's what we learned in our Thursday class, Halachos and Brochos. So we said what? That wine is so important. It's not covered by Hamotzi, by the blessing on the bread. So if you drink this wine during the meal, you have to say separate blessing. Okay. So one more time, according to Mishnah Brura, since wine required a Bracha Rishona, so I mean the first blessing, when one drinks during the meal, if one plans to drink wine during the meal, he need not recite Bracha Achrona on the wine that he drank before the meal in any event. See also Shulchan Aruch 299, Mishnah Brura. So 299 just by looking at the number, I think that's the laws of Shabbos. I think, if I remember correctly, 299. So Mishnah Brura says, okay, so wine is different if he's going to drink it during the meal, and so it is covered. So it is covered with Bracha Rishona. So you drink the wine during the meal after you make Kiddush, so that wine is covered. So I would say it's proper, very proper, to have intention that you're going to drink this extra wine during the meal, or at least have the bottle on a table. So even if you don't have any specific intention, but that bottle is in front of you on the table, so it's like you have intention to drink it. Okay, so why we say all of this? So this Bracha Rishona that made the wine on the Kiddush would cover the wine that you drink during the meal. Any questions on what we said? We'll continue. Okay. Therefore, to avoid a situation of doubt, one should refrain from drinking the wine before washing his hands for the meal. Exactly what we said. Unless he drinks a cup of wine also after Birkas Hamazon, upon which he will be obligated to recite Al-Gefen blessing, and thus bring himself an independent obligation to recite the Brocha Achrona. This blessing will also exempt the possible obligation to recite Bracha Achrona upon what he drank before the washing of the hands for the meal. Okay, let me explain what it says, and I'm going to explain what problem I have with this. So the proper way, as Shulchan Aruch says, don't drink before washing of the hands, right? Unless you're going to drink the cup after Birkas Hamazon. So in what situation you would drink up after Birkas Hamazon? So we said if he would make a blessing of the wine. So you have a Zimun. Zimun, we said 3 adult Jewish males, right? And they combine together, and usually we say it over the cup of wine. I mean, three or more. We say it during the on the wine, and now this person, let's say he's going to lead for whatever reason, he's the most important person in the group. He's going to lead. So, and he drank during, before the meal. So technically, he can say the blessing after that. Of course, he must say the blessing after he drank this wine, because this wine was drunk after Birkas Hamazon, which is, of course, after the meal. And he would need to say blessing for the wine, right? Concluding blessing for the wine. And he can have in mind that that wine that he drank before the meal. So in my mind, I mean, it's not going to fly. If this was like very quick meal, I don't know, maybe half an hour, I don't know, whatever, maybe 40 minutes, let's say, the whole meal is everything. So maybe it's going to fly. But if it was long meal, prolonged meal, I'm not sure how it's going to fly. It's how it's going to work, because that blessing before on the one that he made before the meal, it's like 3 hours. It was 2-3 hours before. How is that connected? There is no connection. You're not allowed to say the blessing after blessing of that wine. So, but let's see. So let's see the commentary. Commentary saying, Kitzur advises, of course, this course of action with regard to the wine that one drinks for Kiddush on Shabbos as well. Okay. Severe Halacha, that in case where one did not drink drink wine before the meal, and therefore has a doubtful obligation to recite Bracha Achrona on wine, such as when drinking the wine on the Kiddush on Shabbos, he should specifically have in mind that the Birkas Hamazon he recites at the conclusion of his meal apply to the wine that he drank before the milk as well. Okay. In this situation, his recitation of full Birkas Hamazon exempt his obligation to recite Al-Gefen as well. Okay, so Mishnah Berurah gives us a different solution. It's not, of course, it's not perfect. The perfect is not to do it, basically, right? I mean, not to do it, not to drink the wine before the meal, unless, as we said, it's obligation of the day, like a Shabbos, right? or Yom Tov, right? So here they say even if you drank and now you're in doubtful situation. So Mishnah Berurah give us right, so right. So he said keep in mind when you drink this wine. So I want I'm not going to say blessing right now, but I want this Birkas Hamazon cover this blessing on the wine, like specific intention, right? And that's what we learn in our class on Thursday. So it's specific intention plays a very big role in halacha. Okay, continue. But the thing is, I mean that's on like initially, but as we said in our Shabbos class, that's usually person's intention because he's doing it for forever, for a very long time, and it's became his intention that I'm going to say kiddush, right? Like on the wine, I'm not going to say after blessing, but I'm going to say after blessing on everything that I ate and drank, including this wine, in Birkas Hamazon. That's how it works. Okay, continue. Like wine, liquor too can serve as an appetizer. Therefore, if one wishes to drink a liquor before the meal, whether he will drink liquor during the meal or not, he should take care not to drink before the meal an amount upon which he would be obligated to recite Brocha Achrona, but only drink less than kizayis. Okay, so let's try to understand. So okay, so as we actually mentioned before in the beginning of this class, we said if he drank enough for a proper amount of time, right? So right, and proper amount of time, especially with drinking, is matter of dispute, and some say you have to drink like in a few sips. This 3 ounces, or according to Chazon Ish, 5 ounces. Like it's, I mean, if it's the wine or some other beverage is not very strong, I mean that it's not an issue to do it in 2 or 3 sips. There is no problem, right? But if he drinks less, let's say less than 3 ounces. So according to all of the opinions, so you're not obligated to say blessing, and in this period of time, right? So I mean in 2-3 sips, or according to other opinion, up to 9 minutes. Okay. So if a person drank only a little, I mean usually people don't drink a lot of liquor. I'm not sure how much they drink, but okay. So whatever they drink, so they say make sure to drink less than kizayis. So we're going to explain what kizayis is now, and so you would not put yourself in a situation that you need to say the after blessing, as with all other foods. Commentary. Bracha Achrona is recited only upon eating and drinking a minimum amount. In general, the food, this amount is kizayis. Right? Kizayis, we said approximately 1 ounce, 28 grams. Okay. We state, see below 51.2, which states that according to some, the minimum amount with regard to the beverage is also kizayis. In order to avoid this question, the question of the obligation to recite Bracha Achrona after drinking a liquor, one should drink less than 0.6 ounces. What is it? It's 17.3 cc. So cc is like grams. The amount of kizayis according to some authorities. See Appendix A. So okay, so we said there are a few opinions about how much kizayis is, and the most lenient opinion. So of course kizayis goes by kizayis is as size of the olive, right? And there are different opinions as we learned. So how many olives are in one egg? So some of them, some people say 2 kizesim in kibetza, and some of them say 3. So according to the most lenient opinion, it's 0.6 ounce, right? So they say if you're going to drink this liquor, make sure that you drink less than this, with 17 grams. Okay. So why? In order, so you would not be required to say blessing according to any opinion. Okay. Okay. So let's see. Continue. However, if he drank a kezayis or more, he has fallen into a situation of halachic doubt regarding this obligation to recite Bracha Achrona. So as we said before, the more like, I don't know how it should be called, a more lenient opinion. Okay, I don't want to call lenient, that's not proper word. Different opinions say it's from 3 ounces, not 0.6, from 3 ounces to 5 ounces, right? So now, right? So now the person put himself in this situation. One more time, I'm going to explain. However, if one drank the kezayis or more, right, he has fallen in a situation of halachic doubt. So halachic doubt because it's more than 0.6, right? Regarding the obligation to recite Bracha Achrona. Okay. So meaning what? Let's read. In accordance with the rule, a doubtful obligation with regard to the blessing is decided leniently. A Bracha Achrona should not be recited in this case. So we said the rule is if it's a biblical obligation, wherever is it, so we go by a more stricter opinion, a more stricter approach. For example, we said in the case of Birkas Hamazon, if you're not sure you said it or not, for whatever reason, right? So we say it because it's biblical obligation. But regarding what is a rabbinical obligation, so we said if you, in case of the doubt, so don't say it. So this is Bracha Achrona is a rabbinical obligation. So they say don't say it. Okay. So in this case, also what I was trying to say. So even if a person goes by opinion that that minimum share of drink is a let's say minimum 3 ounces, not 3 ounces. So still we have to take into consideration that opinion of 4.6 ounces. You understand? So even you don't usually go by that opinion, but in case of the doubt and in case of the need, you can you have to say that you have to take into consideration that opinion and don't drink more than what they say. Okay. CF number 3. If one wishes to eat before washing of the hands, for the meal of the types of mezonos food, such as honey cake, egg kichel, and the like, food whose bracha achrona is ala michia, then whether he will also eat those foods during the meal, or he will not eat them during the meal, in all such cases, they exempt from their own bracha achrona, although he recites Birkas Hamazon, through the recitation of Birkas Hamazon during the meal. Okay, so let's stop here. We're going to the beginning and we're going to explain line by line. Okay, from the beginning. If one wishes to eat food, wishes to eat before washing of his hands, for the meal, types of mezonos food. Okay, count it. There is baked goods upon which one recites Bracha Rishona, that concludes with Borei Minei Mezonos, who creates species of nourishment. Okay, so but here he's explicitly say baked goods, right? It's not like it's not all of the mezonos. For example, pasta is also mezonos, right? But we don't include pasta here, only baked goods. Okay. So one more time. One more time. If one wishes to eat before the washing of his hands, for the meal, types of mezonos food we just explained, such as honey cake. So meaning we called it in our class Halachos of Brochos, bread-like mezonos, bread-like. Because why we said because why? Because the dough consistency is very similar, right? And they bake the same as bread. Egg kichel. So egg kichel, it's like what is it like? Egg kichel is more like, I think, like a cracker, like but no, it's not, but more rich, tasty foods, something like a cracker. And the like, right? foods whose bracha Achrona ala mechia. So meaning if you eat enough, so you would say ala mechia. So translation for the nourishment. Okay, decided after eating the baked goods. Okay, then whether he will also eat those foods during the meal, or will not eat them during the meal. In all such cases, they're exempt from their own obligation of bracha achrona through the recitation of Birkas Hamazon after the meal. So Kitzur says, so you want to eat a piece of cake before the meal. Of course, before Kiddush, you're not allowed to eat. So we're talking about not Shabbos or holidays. Okay, just be clear. So, okay. So he ate a piece of honey cake, whatever cake, before the meal. So, and let's say person ate enough. What is enough? We say kizayis, 28 grams, 1 ounce approximately. Right. So in other circumstances, he would be required to say the blessing after the meal. But here they say no, don't say it, because now in a few minutes you're going to go wash your hands, right? And this piece of cake already covered by Birkas Hamazon. This is because the recitation Birkas Hamazon can exempt one from obligation of recite ala mechia blessing. Okay, which is understandable. But let's say commentary: if one mistakenly recite Birkas Hamazon after eating mizoines, he has fulfilled his bracha achrona obligation and need not recite ala mechia. See Mishnah Berurah 2:8-75, and that's what actually we learned. I think a few weeks ago in our Halachos or Brochos class, right? We said we were going through all of these mistakes that person can do. He said shechakol on apple. So, for example, right? So we said after the fact there is no problem. Shechakol for apple, wait, right? Is covered. And same we say in after blessing. And after blessing, if somebody said Birkas Hamazon after he ate mizon, after he ate cake, so after the fact, no problem. So that's why we don't require him to go back and say ala mechia separately. Okay. In cases where the recited Birkas Hamazon would be used to exempt doubtful obligation of ala mechia, when recited Birkas Hamazon, one should specifically intend to fulfill his doubtful obligation, also with regard to mizonis food that he has eaten. Okay, so as we said before, it's very important, like in all of the cases, in all of the doubtful cases, just have in mind, right, that if I need to say the blessing, we're talking about question blessing, after this food, let it be included in my recite on this. If not, okay, so it should not be recited. So I'm not saying anything like extra because of the doubtful case. No, I'm saying exactly the same blessing as I would say without that. But just in case, if that food, the initial food, was not covered, let it be covered. According to Mishnah Berurah, there are certain cases when one eats mizoines before the meal. One will be served soon, but does not eat it during the meal. When one eats mizoines before the meal, does not during the meal. Where one should preferably say ala mechia immediately. See for details Mishnah Berurah 176:2. Bizbir halacha shar chatziyun. See also Igras Moshe or Chaim, who writes similarly that in certain cases one should recite ala mechia on mizoine snack before he begins meal. See Igras Moshe here for extensive treatment of these halachos. So what this note says, Mishnah Berurah with Igras Moshe. That's all. So they're saying if you're not going to eat this mizonis or this cake during the meal, so maybe it's proper. Maybe they say not the time the same. Just say ala mechia after you finish. But if you're going to eat during the meal, that's already you have other poskim to rely on and say it and let it be covered by Birkas Hamazon. One can rely on the recitation Birkas Hamazon provided that he does not make a lengthy interruption between his eating before the meal and washing of his hands for the meal. That's exactly what we said, remember? And so without even reading this, it's only logical. I mean, if he ate like even half an hour, let's say, before he washed for the meal, so what is the connection? There is no connection whatsoever to the meal, right? And then he had 2 hours meal, and then another 30 minutes later they only start the Bircas Hamotzi. So there is no connection whatsoever. It's impossible to cover that cake that you ate before the meal with your Bircas Hamotzi. There is zero chance. But if he will make a lengthy interruption, then he must recite first Al Mechia, meaning the blessing after this mizonos, Al Mechia blessing, on that which he ate before the meal, even if he will also eat these types of food during the meal. So if it's going to be, as we said, lengthy interruption, and he anticipates or she anticipates lengthy meal, so don't do it. Right? Just say Al Mechia, or I would say don't wait another few minutes. So unless person is sick, somebody is diabetic, that's for sure, right? So he needs or she needs to eat before the meal. That's a different story. We're talking about normal people. Okay. And normal meaning not sick people. That's what I mean. So commentary say, regarding the obligation of Bracha Achrona, in common case of eating baked goods before the meal, after reciting Kiddush and Shabbat, see 77:14. Oh, we're going to eat it. We're going to get to it. Okay. Let's see. So we finish the Sefer. Any questions on what we said? Okay. So it's very next. It's very interesting topic. So it's Siman 40, and it says law of washing the hands for the meal, contain 21 seifim. So it's very, very lengthy, especially in Shulchan Aruch. If you look Mishnah Brura, it's so many details, intricate details. It's like unbelievable. So let's see. So in introduction, the law of nitalas yadayim, washing of the hands, have their origin in the loss of tumah ve'tahara, ritual purity in impurity, and were once an integral part of the daily lives of Jewish people in early times, when the temple stood. So what possible pitfall associated with it? Okay, before we continue. So people have different, I think, in different even utensils, eating utensils, in their house for pure food. So what is pure food? For example, Kohanim would give truma, and they would eat it in. They have to eat this truma in the state of the purity. And other things, okay. So this coin could be pure, it could be impure. For example, he walked somewhere in the field, and he stepped on a grave. He did not know, it was not marked. But then he saw there is a bone sticking out of the ground. Okay, so he became ritually impure, and so he's not allowed to eat this food, pure food, right? So continue. So it was only, so we care very much about it after only before, when the temple was standing. Why? Because it was a possibility to purify ourselves. How? With ashes of the red cow. So now we don't have red cow. Of course, we try not to get spiritually impure, like going to the cemeteries. So some people going to the cemeteries too often. We go to the graves of tzaddikim. So it's very, very not recommended, especially for women, to go to the grave of tzaddikim. No, not tzaddikim, to the cemetery period. Okay, because why? Because not maybe you're going to pray to the by the grave of the tzaddik, but you encounter the spiritual impurity. So is it going to help to pray to the grave of the tzaddik? It's all doubtful. Vilna Gaon said no. Continue. So what possible pitfall associated with eating food with impure hands The sages instituted the obligation to purify the hands by washing them in a prescribed manner before eating bread. Okay, okay. As well as before eating any food that is commonly dipped in liquid. See, film 17 to 21. Okay, so we're going to. Okay, so let's see. So, and just to add to whatever we said, so it's not only Kohanim. If for example, you brought the Shalomim offering in the temple, and you get in the biggest part of it, some of this leg, I think, and the stomach and the tongue and whatever other things goes to coin, but the rest of the meat goes to the family who brought it, right? So of course that's pure food, and they have to eat it in purity, and they have to purify their hands. So come time, truma, the portion of the crop given to the Kohen must be kept tahor, in ritual pure state. So truma is the one in our one in our morning class actually. About truma, we learn truma from Rambam, and we also cover on Sunday morning we do Mishnah. Okay. In order that Kohanim to be accustomed to washing their hands before eating, the sages instituted that all people wash their hands before eating bread. So of course, truma was one of the trumas was for the five species, right? So wheat was one of them. So of course nobody eat wheat kernels. I mean, people eat, but not likely. So, but they would make bread, right? And before eating bread, the Kohen would have to wash his hands to purify his hands. Likewise, special care must be taken when eating food deep in liquids. So see below, and we're going to see if you eat apple, if you wash apple, you have to, and you didn't wipe it completely, it's still moist. You must wash your hands. That's what we do. Since while dipped in, one is liable to touch the liquid, and liquid contracts and transmits tuma, ritual impurity, more readily than other foods or object. See Mishnah Berurah 158. Okay, so what does it mean? There are 7 liquids that transmit impurity, not all of the liquids. So water is one of them. So meaning what? That if your hands are impure, right? So the impurity is going to come from your hands into this apple, into whatever food you're eating, right? And not food. I don't want to say food. I think apple is a good example. So they sweat apple, right? And then you're going to eat contaminated food, right? Because it was wet. If it was dry, there is no problem whatsoever. Okay. And of course, the Kohanim would wash before the truma because you have to eat it in spiritual purity. Continue. Although, and as I say, as well as before eating any food that is what commonly dipped in liquid. So what do we dip in liquid when we eat? On a Pesach, we dip a piece of potato, and somebody use onion, but I'm not sure. I don't have any example at this point. I mean, there are dips that they sell in the stores, but these dips are not the dips that we are talking about. Those are not one of the 7 liquids. Okay, so continue. All the most applications of the Halachot of Tumah are no longer applicable today. We are enjoined to adhere to these procedures so that we will be accustomed to these practices when the laws of the Tumah will again be applicable with the rebuilding of the temple. Okay, so of course they say, okay, the laws were Abolished because why? Because there is no way for us to fix the situation. Same thing as with Mitzvah. It's not was abolished, but I apologize. That's not the right word. It was they put on hold. Why? Because they were not able to fulfill this law. That's it. Very simple. Same with Mitzvah. So there is no way for us to purify Mitzvah, right? Because there is no ashes of the red cow. So there is no temple. There is no sacrifice that Mitzvah has to bring. That's it. Another reason for the enactment of Nitalas Yadayim. So we do all of them, all of us do Nitalas Yadayim. So Kohanim and us don't forget about this purity and impurity thing. That's the thing. Okay. Another reason for the enactment of Nitalas Yadayim is to preserve the cleanliness of the food that one wants eat. Right. Concern of the cleanliness and the hygiene is not only physical issue. Okay, so it's of course in the sense spiritual. It is in fact an important spiritual value as well, and is associated with purity and holiness. Okay. Okay. So I missed one commentary. So it says Mishnah Berurah say, according to some opinion, some not everybody, Mishnah Berurah say do it anyway. I think if you remember correctly, opinion it is no longer obligatory to wash before eating foods dipped in liquid. So as our example of the apple, but as I remember, we still do it. Second. All right, so let's do maybe one more. So first here, it says one who wishes to eat bread, upon which the appropriate blessing is Hamotzi, must first wash his hands. So what does it mean? Hamotzi, right? Not every bread is Hamotzi. So let's see. So commentary say what is Hamotzi? The blessing ended Hamotzi lechem min ha'oretz. Okay, who brings forth bread from the earth is recited when eating bread baked from any of 5 species of grain. Right. Just 1 second. See below 48.4, where Kitzur stated that certain baked goods, while classified the bread-like foods, do not have a halakhic status of bread, and one recite Hamotzi on such a baked goods only when one eaten a full meal. Here we learned that the obligation of Nitalas Yadayim depends on the blessing that is recited about the food being eaten. Whether one recites Hamotzi on a food, one must wash his hands prior to eating it. Okay. So what is this commentary say? So Hamotzi first we say on these 5 species of grain. First one. Then we say even on a bread like. What is a bread like? Bread like is all of the cakes, right? All of the cakes, all of the cookies, all of these beautiful things, even pies, even all of this things that were baked in the oven, right? And they similar to bread. So if person is going to make a meal out of them, so we discuss what is a meal. So according to some opinion, it's what is it? It's 6 ounces, but in our book it says I think it says 8 ounces. So if a person is going to eat 8 ounces, let's put it this way, 8 ounces of cake, the sweetest cake ever. So he would need. So it's considered to be a meal, full-fledged meal. And person would have to go and wash his hands with a blessing al Nitalas Yadayim, and then say after blessing Bircas Hamazon after he finished. Okay, that's what we said. So let me do this sentence again. One who wishes to eat bread with appropriate blessing of Hamotzi, okay, must wash his hands. Okay, commentary. Even one who is planning to use only one hand to eat must wash both hands. See Mishnah Brura 158.4. So let's say a person holds his bread only with his left hand, right hand, doesn't matter, and never ever eats with another hand, does not make any difference. So he has to wash two hands. Why? The simple explanation. If he washes only one hand, it's one of the explanations, right? While that hand is wet, maybe he's going to touch with his dirty hand, and then not dirty hand, like impure hand, and now the impurity through the water is going to go to the clean hands. That's a simple explanation. Continue. So that's why we have to wash both hands, and same with children, we wash them. It doesn't matter. They don't have to. A person doesn't have to pour the water by himself, as we're going to learn. Somebody else can do it for us. If the bread that will be eaten is at least large enough to the volume of an egg, one must recite the blessing upon washing. So let's see. And that's what we're saying all along. So commentary. Even if no single piece of bread, if the size of the egg, as long as the amount of bread he is eating is totals at least a volume of an egg, one must recite blessing upon washing. Mishnah Brura 158.10. So that's the thing, and many people have this confusion. So we wash our hands on any amount of bread, right? Even if it's less. I think if it's less than kizayis that we wash, I think we do. But of course we say without blessing. So blessing only when you eat, according to our estimate, like two ounces. Let's say 56 grams, right? You eat 56 grams, 2 ounces. Then you wash with a blessing. If you let's say if you eat only 1 ounce, right? And as commentaries say, it does not have to weigh one piece. Even if you have like small strips of bread, there is no problem, right? If they combine to the amount, there is no problem. So if you eat less than 2 ounces, meaning less than egg size, so you would not say blessing. You still wash, but you do not say blessing. Okay, so he must recite the blessing upon the washing. The blessing regarding washing of the hands. Okay, so if he eats the volume of the egg, he has to wash and say blessing. It is if it is smaller than this size, he must still wash, but does not recite the blessing upon the washing. Number 8. Right. So if it's less than 2 ounces, we don't say blessing on the washing, but still wash. And as we said, Bircas Ramazon, we say only on if a person ate one kizayis. 1 kizayis is 1 ounce. Okay. Commentary. Food smaller than the size of an egg is not susceptible to tuma by biblical law. So that's the thing. See Mishnah Brura 158.9. So that's the explanation. Less than an egg, they're not susceptible to tuma. Okay. See introduction to the Siman. Mishnah Brura there writes that with regard to this halacha, the volume of the egg is measured without shell. So meaning it's a little smaller. According to the measurement of Chazanish, one should not recite blessing unless one is eaten the bread in the volume of 90 cc. So it's like 90 grams, 3 fluid ounces. Okay. According, so it says, see Shiri Shel Torah, paragraph 26. So it's Chazanish is always very strict. Right? It's not that he's strict. He goes like he's consistent. He's very consistent in his calculations. According to Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, that's all. Although it is better to eat piece of bread the size of an egg in order to avoid halachic doubt, as to whether one is required to recite blessing or not. Nevertheless, if one wants to eat only kizayis of bread, according to Moshe Feinstein, approximately 1 ounce, he is still required to recite blessing al nitolas yadayim, Igras Moshe. Initially, one should wash nitolas yadayim, even if he will be eating less than kizayis. In that case, all agree that no blessing can recite. Okay. Okay. So let's explain. So if one person eats, if he's planning to eat less than his eyes, so we wash without blessing. So Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, that's all. So he said it's a lenient opinion, but in case of the need, we actually can rely upon it. So he said even on 1 ounce, even when on 1 ounce, we still can recite al nitolas yadayim. Okay. So if in case of the need, we can always rely on this opinion. Okay, we actually finished this, so let's see what time is it. Okay, I think we can stop here. So any questions? What we said? Okay. So if not, so until tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to learn. What we're going to learn Hilchas Teshua. There's HaShem. I think we started chapter 9. Thank you very much. Good night.